to the Point of Impact podcast with Rick McDaniel. Thanks for joining us today. Get ready to be inspired and motivated to live a high-impact life. Now, here's Rick.
Welcome to the Point of Impact podcast. I'm Rick McDaniel. It's great to have you joining with us again today. And we are now finished with our theme on regrets. And we're going to do what I call one-offs, which means we'll do just single episodes for a while until the new year when we'll hit a new theme. And I'll just give you a little overview of what that looks like for the rest of this year. Today, we're going to talk about 10 hard truths about success. There is no subject I've spoken about more on this Point of Impact podcast than success, for good reason, because it's something that I believe affects more and more people than anything else. And I think it's the subject that most of the people who listen to this podcast are trying to pursue success and want to see success in their lives. And so they're always interested. Today, going to come at it from, another direction. It's like a diamond with all the different facets. I've just talked about it so many times in so many ways and always looking for a new way to talk about it. And I think I've got one. Now, the more I worked on this hard truths, I realized there's another episode that I need to do called 10 hard truths about work, about your job and career. So we'll do that in December. Next week, we'll do one that has to do with gratitude and keeping with Thanksgiving. That's going to be a very interesting one. I'm going to highlight someone that I think has a phenomenal attitude of gratitude, but might seem unlikely to many of you, but it's going to be good. It's going to be very interesting. And then I'm going to share with you the greater life message that I have spoken on before and let you hear that first thing. We'll do one on finances, because whenever you get into the holiday season and you're spending all this money, it's always good to talk about how you can save money, saving money every day. So that'll be one as well. And then we'll do like a review for getting ready for the new year. So that's kind of where we're headed for the rest of this year. Before we jump into today's episode and content, just want to remind you of a few things. The Maverick Leadership book is out, hardcover, softcover. It is available Walmart, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, and at maverickleadershipbook.com. Maverickleadershipbook.com. Can get copies anywhere. And in that book is a chapter from me on inspirational leadership. There are experts in military leadership, in business, that are also going to be having chapters in there. I think it would be a great book to get really for someone like for Christmas. Be a nice Christmas gift to give someone a nice hardcover book for only $25 and be able to give it to them and have them have something that they could read, different authors, different chapters, different subject matters that would help them in their leadership. So just something to consider. Also, we're still in Global Bible Month here. Phenomenal celebration of 1 billion downloads on the Bible app and a real focus on Bible reading on the YouVersion Bible app. And again, I have 10 different reading plans, 10. All you have to do is just type in my name in the search. It'll all come up. Latest one that I've done, Power Up, the most popular one that I ever did is Mindset Matters, and lots of other great ones. And we're talking about a huge number of people that have gone through these plans already, total number over 100,000. So you've got a chance to do a 5-day plan. They're all free. Get you in reading the Bible each day and have a devotion. Fantastic resource, and I really hope you'll take advantage of it. And I hope that what starts now will continue. You may have seen, that there's promotion of this Global Bible Month on the Sphere in Las Vegas, in Times Square, even on the Jesus, the Redeemer, Christ the Redeemer in Brazil. I mean, it's everywhere. It's a huge thing to think about, 1 billion. So get a part of that. Be a part of that. If you haven't ever read the Bible before, it's a great place to start. And get one of my plans, and it'll just help you kind of combine a scripture verse with some insight, some application for your life. Good stuff. All right. So today, 10 hard truths about success. Now, as I said, I love to talk about success and I love to be positive. So it's, a little difficult for me sometimes to do something like the negative part of things, the hard truths. But I am not some kind of, Pollyannish optimist, head in the clouds, not attached to reality. I'm tethered in reality. And though I believe that a positive, optimistic, faith-filled mindset will beat a negative, pessimistic, fear-filled mindset every time and twice on Sunday, no doubt in my mind about that. I'm not unaware that there are some hard truths. There are some difficult things. I mean, even in Jesus, there's what's called the hard sayings of Jesus, the same sort of concept, just things that we need to hear. But even though hearing them is not easy, it's difficult to hear and listen to. But at the same time, on the path, on the journey to success, and success is a journey with many stops along the way to celebrate and to just enjoy before you keep moving forward. It's never a destination. I can just tell you that. Years and years of success, I can tell you it's a journey. You don't get to an end point, and there are many stops along the way where you can celebrate your success. There are many challenges, no doubt about it. And again, that's really what I want to talk about today, is just that here's some things you need to hear. Now, again, maybe nobody's told you this, and you might say, man, this is really hard to hear. And they should be something that fuel you. This should be motivational, ultimately. Don't see this as a reason to give up or as a reason to believe you can't have success. Just allow the truth of these to enter into your mind and move down a foot into your heart so that you can just say, okay, this is what I'm up against, and one of these or two of these probably will hit hardest for you today, and something that you'll just need to have to overcome by understanding reality. Okay, let's just jump in. Hard truth number one. Nobody cares about your potential. They don't. Nobody on this earth. Now, God cares because you have God-given potential. So God cares greatly about your potential, understands what you are capable of doing. But people, they care about results. They're not interested in intentions. They're not interested in what could be. If you look at something like the NFL, for instance, when people are drafted, they're drafted on the basis of what they believe is their potential to make it in the NFL. But if that turns out to not be true, that their potential doesn't match their performance, they're gone. And you see it over and over and over again. There's a guy right here in Richmond, where I'm from, played at the same high school that my son played at, was drafted very high in the first round, and is presently out of football, completely out of football as of today. On the other hand, there was a guy that was chosen the absolute last pick in the draft. His name was Brock Purdy. He's now the starting quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers and just signed in the offseason an enormous contract. So he was, they call the last pick Mr. Irrelevant. He was Mr. Irrelevant. No real belief that he could even make the team, let alone do anything in the NFL, let alone become a starter, let alone become a key starter on a winning team and land a huge contract. So the world rewards you for what you do, not what you could do. Meritocracy, it's based on your merits. Now, I know there's a lot of stuff out there these days where people are trying to mess with that. But at the end of the day, in the real world, not in academia, not with people talking, but in the real world of life, of sports and business, it comes down to your results and what you can do. All right, in keeping with this idea of potential, your natural talents can trap you. And here's what I mean. Early on, your natural talents will bring you success. The problem is, it can later lead to stagnation, so you don't keep moving forward. This is why you see people kind of come out of the gate strong and then stall and maybe never, ever move forward, because their natural gifts and talents allowed them to have success. But here's the thing, being naturally good at something can prevent you from seeking out the learning, the knowledge that is necessary for further growth, which is how you are successful. So you have to be willing, and we'll tie this into the next hard truth here in a moment. You have to be willing to learn, and you have to want to grow. You have to have that growth mindset. Otherwise, you'll end up stagnating. You won't go forward. You're talented, you're gifted, but it's not enough. You have to be able to work on your talents and gifts. And that's why when you look at the greats, like they call him the Great One, Gretzky in hockey, you look at Michael Jordan in basketball, for instance, you look at Tom Brady in football. Let's just look at these three for a moment. And if you study them at all, Wayne Gretzky, Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, you study them, you will find an incredible desire to keep growing, learning, and improving, even though they were blessed with great natural talent. So, natural talents can trap you, can keep you from continue to be successful, right? Let's tie it in here. Discomfort is the price of growth. You see the connection here? You have to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. This is how you grow, and growth is how you have success. If you're comfortable, chances are you're not growing. You're not growing. You have to make yourself uncomfortable. People like David Goggins, has made an entire career out of this concept of embracing the pain instead of avoiding it. Avoiding pain means avoiding progress. Embracing pain, embracing the hard, being willing to do the hard things that have got to be done. Not easy. People don't necessarily wake up with it, but you've got to be willing to just look at the hard stuff and the tough stuff and say, I'm going to tackle it. I'm going to take it on. I'm not going to avoid it. If you want a comfortable life, you will not have a successful life. Hard to hear. And I've done entire articles on this. I've done episodes on this podcast about embracing the hard and being willing to just say, I'm not going to avoid the pain. I'm going to lean into it, as they would say, and just say, I'm going to become comfortable with being uncomfortable, because the uncomfortable is ultimately going to bring me to a place of growth. All right, here's another one. Surprise, working hard isn't enough. Now, let me be clear, because those of you who listen to me know it's one of the key principles of success is hard work. I mean, it's absolutely indispensable. If you're not willing to work hard, it's not going to happen. Guaranteed, bottom line. I believe in one of the episodes, I believe this is the correct way to say it, that they did a survey of top CEOs, and I'm trying to remember how many, and I don't recall how many, and they asked them all kinds of questions about success. The only key to success that every single one of these super successful CEOs agreed on was hard work. So that's really all you need to know. But here's the thing. Well, what do you mean hard work is enough? Effort without a strategy. In other words, it's the whole idea. It isn't just working harder, it's working smarter. What's the strategy? Otherwise, you're wasting energy. And direction matters more than speed. It's not how fast you can get there. If you end up getting there and it's the wrong place, it does you no good. So you really have to have a strategy. And of course, then you have to execute the strategy. So, we talk about dream, and dream turns into goals. And then the goals, how do they get achieved? By some type of strategy, and the strategy has to be executed, and that's where the hard work comes in. But notice that you see the kind of timeline. It's the dream to the goals, to the strategy, and then to the effort. Effort is indispensable. Total believer in that. But again, the effort has to be expended in the right direction with the right strategy. All right, here's a hard one. I mean, it's hard to hear on the hard truths. Most people won't support your dreams. Should not be that way, but it is that way. And it just saddens me to even say it, because I am someone who supports people's dreams. I am someone whose life is devoted to encouraging, inspiring, motivating people to pursue their dreams. But your ambitions can make other people uncomfortable, envious, jealous. I mean, there's a reason why we have a phrase like haters in our modern terminology and the vernacular. Haters. There are haters. And of course, because of social media, those haters are much more prevalent than they've ever been before. And again, spoken about this before. There's an episode that I have that's a very well-known one. And you might want to look that one up. Haters, weasels, and scoundrels. 3 types of people that you have to overcome in this world: the haters, the weasels, and the scoundrels. So the haters are real. So you should expect resistance, not encouragement, which is why, by the way, somebody like me and this podcast exists. I'm your encouragement guy. You can get encouragement from the right sources. But if you think that people are just going to support your dreams and be behind you, it's not going to happen. Not most people. Some people will, of course. Your mother loves you and believes you can do anything. Yeah, that's great. And there'll be other people. Hopefully your spouse believes in you and supports your dreams. But there'll be many people that won't. So keep coming back here, because you can count on me to bring the encouragement that you need. But you have to be realistic with this hard truth. All right, here's another. I've talked about this many times as well. Again, in focused episodes on failure. Failure is going to be a part of the journey. Just understand that. It's not like, well, maybe it'll happen. It's going to happen. And I know this is going to really sound hard to hear, but it's almost like it's necessary. Because you fail your way into success when failure keeps giving you feedback. So think about it like this. Failure gives you feedback, which just causes you to innovate and to tweak. So you have to have the misses almost in order to ultimately get to the can'tness. You have to go through the failure to get the feedback, to make the corrections, so that it'll actually end up being successful. That's how you fail your way into success. The whole goal is to always fail forward. To fail forward. Just make sure you're moving forward and you're learning and growing from the information that you are receiving. This journey of success is paved with failures, setbacks, disappointments. But that's okay. It's hard to hear now because no one raises their hand and said, ooh, I'd like a setback. Oh, I'd like to be disappointed. But you just have to take that in as the feedback and make the sort of corrections that you need to make in your life so that ultimately you will get to the place of success by failing forward. Here's another one. Timing matters more than talent. Lee Iacocca. Even the right idea is the wrong idea if the timing is not there. Like, even the right idea ends up being the wrong idea because the timing isn't right. Timing matters. Maybe you think more than talent. Well, yes, in the sense that you need the talent and the timing to sync up and be in alignment. In other words, being good at the wrong time is still wrong. Again, these are all just versions of the same idea that Iacocca talked about years ago. Even the right idea is the wrong idea, Being good at the wrong time still ends up being the wrong time. So it doesn't matter. This is really hard to hear, but average execution at the right time beats perfect execution at the wrong time. It's hard for the words to even come out of my mouth because, man, I do not like average and I believe in excellent. Maybe I should have said excellent instead of perfect. Average execution at the right time beats excellent execution at the wrong time. You say, well, what? That shouldn't be right. Excellent beats average every single time. Yeah, but that's how important timing is. Timing is enormously important. So you've got to be able to sync up the timing correctly. So I've often said when people say, what is God's will for my life? What is God's plan for my life? And I always say, it's not one thing, it's two things. It's what to do, and that's almost what everyone thinks. Well, it's just what to do. No, it's what to do and when to do it. It's what and when. It's not just what. And the when is the timing. It's what to do and it's when to do it. All right, here's another hard truth. Your circle determines your ceiling. In other words, the people around you. Maybe you've heard, you're the average of the 5 people closest to you. You've heard that concept before. Who are the people that are closest to you? The people that are around you, that's how high you can go. And some of you are going to have to make some new friendships and leave some, unfortunately. But that's the reality. The Bible, 1 Corinthians 15:33 says, bad company corrupts good character. Meaning, if you're in the company of the wrong kind of people, you will end up being corrupted. Their bad will overcome your good. Their negative influence will overcome your positive attitude. It's really powerful to think about. Some relationships that you have are just like negative anchors. They're holding you in place. They're not supports, they're anchors. And you need supports and supporters. You do not need negative anchors in your life. But it is amazing how those negative anchors can get into your life. And you've got to cut the line and say, I've got it. You're holding me back. I can't be around you because you're holding me back. Hard to hear. Hard to cut off some of those relationships, but these are hard truths about success if you want to pursue success. All right, here's another one. Man, these are tough to hear, but they're so important to hear. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to save you, meaning that waiting for your good break, for someone to discover how good you are, is a losing strategy. Good breaks are essential to success in what I would call the favor of God. God will bless you, and his hand, it's called in the Bible the gracious hand of God. When God just graciously puts his favor on you, man, it just catapults you. I believe that. But this idea that you just think, I'll just wait and, I'll get discovered, I'll get the break. You can just look at all kinds of people and you see the ones who got the break and discovered, and then the ones that didn't, and you can say, what's the difference between them? You look in things like entertainment, music, and acting and things, and you'll hear people say, this person's as bit, if not more talented than that person. And yet this person is like a megastar, and this person plays in clubs, or does so much smaller things. And you say, well, yeah, I know, I just need to be discovered. So this idea of self-promotion, it sounds really bad and ugly, but it's a necessity. Now, again, how you do it, is crucially important. You can do it the good way, or you can do it the bad way. I'm talking about just being able to, in various professional circles and professional ways, to be able to just show what you're doing, share what you're doing, share your thoughts, share your insights, highlight the exciting projects that you're involved in so people can see it. Use it, the sort of social media world, to your advantage instead of making it a disadvantage. Don't think self-promotion and all these flashy and showy and influencer ways. Just think about, show your work, share how you can help people and impact their lives and benefit them. And that's how people will say, all right, now this is somebody I want to be around. All right, here's the final one. Success is mostly boring. Talk about a hard thing to hear. The glamorous results come from the very basic habits. Just basic. You have to do the stuff. There are certain habits you have to practice. They're not showy, but they reveal themselves in results that are very showy. It's like the person that's in the gym and no one sees it, and then they're out, on the red carpet or whatever, and people are like, oh, it looks fantastic. You think that just happened? That's just, no one sees all the stuff behind the scenes, all the habits that you have to practice to get there. It's the same sort of concept. You just have to practice the habits of success, and then they will bring about very glamorous, showy, exciting success results. But it's kind of boring sometimes to just have to do it day in and day out. Every day is not a big success day. Every day is a big habits day. And then you're practicing the habits, and then 2 months later, it shows up. Consistency beats intensity. What I mean is, intensity is good in short bursts, but you've got to stay consistent. You got to stay after it. You got to do the boring stuff, the stuff that you just have to do day in and day out, week in and week out. And then periodically it gets highlighted, it gets shown, the success is obvious to see, you reap the fruits of that. But it's mostly the boring sort of stuff, if you want to call it that, the necessary habits that you have to practice, that if you practice them consistently over time, you will then see results. So I don't know what struck you today, one of these, two of these, all 10, I don't know, but these are the truths. Maybe no one's told you them, but I told you them today. So now you know, you want to be successful, here are some of the realities that you need to understand and make the adjustments in your own life. Have a great week.
You've been listening to the Point of Impact podcast with Rick McDaniel. Thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to you joining us for our next episode.